Captain's Log, DnDTime, April the 5th, 2019. I've been experimenting with Bartholomew's grand illusion machine, attempting to find out some way to learn more, to get more information. In my experiments and my research, I found an override far buried within. Apparently, Bartholomew pre-programmed different settings, different modes of training, in order to make our heroes as powerful as possible. And so today I flipped the switch, and I tried the first of Bartholomew's pre-programmed settings, one he entitled Base.
As our adventure begins, the four of you walk into Bartholomew's shop, and as you do so, the world behind you seems to leave almost instantly, and the interior of Bartholomew's shop is not recognizable to you at all. It is strange and alien looking. You can see all sorts of panels, people in various kind of very sleek, single-colored uniforms of different varieties of colors. Are all kind of like walking around. They all have the same kind of badge that they're wearing. It appears to be an image of what looks like Bartholomew's shop on the outside, but it seems to have thrusters. You can see sitting at the center of this space, in kind of a rotating chair, you can see Roger wearing one very kind of very fine-looking uniform. And kind of a lot of people are going up and asking Roger all sorts of different questions. And you also see Bartholomew, his blue robes traded for a sleek matte blue uniform as well. You see his beard is also just kind of shaven, and for the first time ever you see Bartholomew just completely clean shaven, not wearing a hat either. Bartholomew kind of walks up and goes, Captain Roger, it appears that we are having some technical difficulties with the ship. Well, it's powered down. After we've come out of warp just now, it seems that our fuel supplies have run drastically low.
This is unexpected. Run a full diagnostic report.
Right away, Captain. Bartholomew kind of hurries off, and yeah, the group of you are now kind of standing here. You look down, you're still carrying all your normal equipment, but you see that your normal clothing, save for perhaps yours, Astraea, which seems a little bit more reinforced, it appears to be you're wearing these kind of perfect black pants and bright red shirts, all of you.
Good. I'm glad that you managed to arrive. How are the four of you?
What the heck is going on?
Yes. I would like to echo my companion's question.
Why was Bartholomew clean-shaven?
Oh, Acting Lieutenant Bartholomew. Acting Officer Bartholomew, sorry. Maybe he could be a Lieutenant Junior grade someday. No, he was running the diagnostic.
No, this is backwards. I don't like
I get
this.
to keep these magnificent clothes?
Yes, of course, your clothes.
Beautiful.
Bartholomew, how is it coming along with the diagnostic?
It's printing out now, and Bartholomew kind of steps back over. Very good, I'm glad you're here. Ensign Nox, Astraea, Zewxip, Silverblood. And he kind of goes over and is looking at like a large piece of paper that you see kind of printed and scanned out from a very complicated computer terminal on the side of the room.
What is that thing?
You see, it appears that we have, as I was mentioning, running out of fuel. The full diagnostics say, we have certainly not enough power to go into warp once more and get to the nearest fueling bay, which means, for all intents and purposes, we're stranded here on Bartholomew's ship. He thinks for some time. However, I have been doing a cursory scan of some of the surrounding territory in space, and it would appear that a nearby planet is housing a large enough energy signal to, well, it must be at least moderately developed. Now, I think we're going to have to put together an away team in order to go down there and obtain whatever the source of this energy is and bring it back up in order to power the ship. do you think that the four of you, I understand that you're new here, but a lot of our team is indispensable in keeping things running right now while we're in this kind of low power state?
Yes,
So
I agree.
we're dispensable then.
I would never say that. You're invaluable.
Simply put, you're the only people who can do this job right now. All right, Acting Officer Bartholomew, get them organized, get an away team ready. I'm heading down to engineering to appraise them of the situation.
Aye, Captain. You four, come with me. Come with me.
You notice Roger smirk a little bit as Bartholomew calls him captain.
Something is horribly wrong here.
Astraea just shakes her head and follows.
Oh, this isn't so bad. I've been in a position like this before.
But where's his hat?
Oh, we're on mini ships. This sort of thing happens quite often. Doesn't matter if it's made of wood or metal, it's the same principle.
I'm sorry, you're familiar with this setup?
Of facing starvation? Or low on supplies? Yes, it happens quite often when you say it.
No, I meant more this metal setup.
Oh, no, not in particular, but the concept's the same. Does this concern you?
It's a little, different.
And as you say that, Bartholomew comes over. All right, step lively now. And as you've been kind of following him along, he's led you down the twisting metal corridors into a chamber. And it seems that there are kind of 4 circular platforms arranged in a bit of an arc. And up above, there are just some complicated electronics that are kind of glowing there. And Bartholomew goes, This was a machine that I developed in order to instantly transport people from one space to another. Of course, you are all likely familiar with
So
this.
it's a magic teleportation circle then.
Yes, magic. No, it's far more complicated than anything. One could not simply wave away reality like that. No, this is science. And Bartholomew goes and...
Have you been hit on the head?
I am sorry, I don't know what you mean. I am very clear. As lead science officer here, I have to be, so.
I thought you were only an acting officer.
Well, I am acting as the lead.
Oh.
And Bartholomew kind of
I mean, it makes about as much sense as everything else.
Bartholomew kind of smiles a little bit. Yes. So, if you would all step onto those platforms, I'll beam you down.
Very well.
Wait,
Your
no,
acting
no,
is
no,
magnificent, by the way, and I'll clap.
Thank you. Swells with pride. Yeah, you guys walk over and step on the 4 kind of circles.
Sure, why not?
Does anyone else get the uncanny feeling we're being watched? Is it just me? Something's not
We're
right.
being watched all the time. I'm sorry, that's the singular. I'm so used to referring to myself as we. It'll be difficult. I'm watched all the time.
That's a little creepy. Very well. Fine. I'll play your game, Bartholomew, whatever it is.
And this is a matter of life and death. I do need you to recover whatever the source of that energy signal was. And let me know when you have it, and we'll bring you back onto the ship. Without
You can
further
count
ado,
on us.
Bartholomew, you see him kind of go over and adjust a few levers on this elaborate panel, and above you begin to hear kind of a pulsing and some odd kind of noises as around you light begins to kind of pour down, and in an instant you find yourself almost feel like you're evaporating, and then you reappear on the nearby surface of the planet below. And where you stand, it is a much different sight than the sleek metal of the place that you were. You stand now in what appears to be a city street. All around you, you can see buildings kind of tower extremely high up above you. But there are no people, and the city itself appears to be in ruins. It is extremely burnt out. You see kind of some buildings that have been completely kind of like toppled and kind of pushed down to the side, cut in half. Others that, all of the windows are broken out. You can see odd alien-looking plants kind of growing up through cracks in what looks like a road made of largely concrete. And you can also see kind of some more sleek and metal accents on the surface of this now strange planet that you've kind of stepped onto. And the voice of Bartholomew kind of speaks in your ear and says to you, all right, now our records aren't showing any information on this particular planet. However, we are detecting, in addition to the energy source I described, there are a number of life forms on this planet. So I suggest you be very, very careful. Proceed with as much caution. Proceed with as much caution as is possible. I'm sending you the information on your location that you're reaching now. I beamed you as close as I could. And yeah, you can see kind of now, not too far from where you are, there is a Bartholomew kind of like transmits to a device that you guys see that you just have at your side now. You kind of reach down to your waist as you hear it kind of beeping, and all of you can now see like highlighted what looks like just a top-down map of the planet that you're on, and maybe just like a city block away, you can see the location of what Bartholomew's saying this energy source that you need to obtain is. And you're in this ruined city. You have your destination.
I don't think we're in Central City anymore.
Do you see these fantastic plants? I've not seen anything like this anywhere else.
Yeah, as you kind of like bend down, Zewxip, to kind of touch one of them, they kind of like move upwards and kind of curl in a couple of spirals. And as you kind of like physically touch it, you see it kind of unwinds and spirals outwards, and some kind of like plumes of small like flakes of what look like pollen or perhaps just petals seem to like fly out and spread around the area.
Oh, beautiful.
What are you guys doing?
Stay there, little ones. I think we have a job to do. There's an energy source or something. I believe we need to go and find.
Very good. In that case, you just follow you just kind of follow the path directly. As you're moving around, you can see a lot of. You can kind of always catch on the outskirts. The feeling that you're being watched, Orwell, definitely applies here as well. You can occasionally hear what sounds like just some sort of movement that's just off to the side. The occasional clatter within one of these kind of like broken and abandoned buildings. Just the rustle, just the barest shadow of someone kind of ducking behind cover as you're moving along in this space. Anything else you want to do? Or are you guys just going to kind of continue forward?
I will call forth my familiar from his pocket dimension.
Very good. Your familiar conjures into being. It's still, despite the strangeness of the setting, it's still very much just magic that you do. It's all the same.
But my owl doesn't look like an owl, does it?
No, it looks
like a mechanical owl.
I mean, if it can, if you want it to, but
let's just go with it.
Yeah, it looks like a mechanical owl.
What has happened to you? Well,
how does the sun here feel, or well, am I sensing anything interesting or different from this new location?
It's a bit cold. It's not as warm as the kind of sun, and you see that it leaves kind of maybe it's just the thickness of the atmosphere here because it's very gray up above you, but you can still see kind of some blue light kind of coursing through. It feels different.
Ooh.
Is there any like rubble or beyond just the ruins of the city around us, things that would indicate anyone or anything being present recently?
Yeah, I mean, you're catching signs of actual motion, as I described previously. I don't know if you might have been dropped out, but yeah, you're seeing some like kind of skirting movement around you as you're kind of walking through the streets. People seeming to be observing you from shadows and kind of inside of buildings. Also, you can see the occasional signs of disruption. Make a perception check, Elysia.
One second.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Elysia, as you are looking around, you see around you, like I said, you can see some skirting movement. You see what looks like the traces of. They look humanoid, but you can see almost a tail that kind of sweeps into the building behind them as they like duck behind a corner as you're getting closer. But you could tell that they were definitely observing you. Additionally, you're just looking at some of the sides in the streets. You can see amidst the rubble the occasional sign of military construction. You can see what looks like makeshift like bunkers and barricades and ramparts all throughout the space. You can see, they've taken some of the rubble and organized it in a more orderly fashion to act as, makeshift defenses here on the city street as you're moving forward.
And how did the tail look? Was it thick like a lizard folks, or kind of thin like a tiefling?
More on the thick side.
Okay. Should we go ask some of the locals if they can point us in the direction of the energy?
I have a feeling that locals don't want to talk to us.
And as it were, as you've been kind of following this energy source, you're actually almost there. As you kind of round around the next corner, you can see what appears to be a very large kind of domed building. It looks something that could be akin to a town hall, and in kind of thinking about it, Orwell, you kind of mentioned this before. This does seem very much like the Central City Town Hall. It looks like the construction's exactly the same. It has a lot of highlights on it and a lot of kind of like architecture and accents that are different, but the overall shape of the building and kind of where it's positioned and looking around like the surrounding space, it's very similar to you in that regard. And yeah, the energy source seems to be coming from within this building. Do you just boldly go forth?
Let's boldly go where none of us have gone before.
Very well. You kind of step up the old stone steps into this space, and less than the kind of like town hall and more city official building that you were expecting, you're moving into a much kind of bigger space now. It's very open. It's almost museum-like in its quality. Kind of large pillars, like I said, some of them crumbling in different places, kind of come down. You can see there are some old, very like moldy tapestries that were hanging on the outside wall that have long kind of fallen down into decay, and on the far side, you can see what appears to be a light of some kind, and that light appears to be coming from behind a very thick panel of glass, and that glass has an imprint on it, and it's kind of built all around it. There's like the opening, and then around that, you can see a huge mural, and that mural appears to be two very tall figures of alien species, kind of shaking hands over in front of that mural. One of them appears to be very reptilian. The other one looks more aquatic, almost fish-like, and they're kind of shaking hands. And
I would like to study that.
All right, yeah. Go ahead and make a investigation check.
And I would like to see if that light is where the energy source is.
Yeah, you go up and kind of examine it. Also, why don't you go also make me an investigation check?
All right.
Right. Wow. I see, guys. All right. So as you're looking around, this kind of thing that I described, this mural, it appears to be more like a block, a square of some kind. And the mural is kind of written on the front of it. And looking around, Orwell, just at like the mural itself, and Astraea focusing more on the kind of light behind it. Astraea, you can see that the light itself, as you're kind of peering through the glass, it appears to be. It appears to be this kind of glowing orb of some kind. It's pulsing with strange lights. You can see static kind of curling around and off of it and kind of stretching inside, creating almost a kaleidoscopic effect inside of this building. Orwell, you're kind of looking more at the mural and the area around it, and you can see, yeah, it seems to depict it seems to depict peace between these two obviously very different species that must have inhabited this planet. Like I said, one of them seems more reptilian in nature, the other one more aquatic. They look not entirely different from those of from those that you're familiar with from the land of D&D time, of lizard folk and tritons, and they seem to be shaking hands. In the background, you can see what looks like a very big cloud, almost it almost looks whale-shaped. But then, kind of as you move around the mural and you're kind of walking around this cube that's enclosing this aura, and Astraea, you're very confident that this has to be the power source. As you're kind of walking around the cube, you can see around the back of it, it depicts kind of like warring and battling between these two groups.
Elysia, you're familiar with religious stuff. Your father's... Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that... That looks distinctly like Euchunkus. And that looks like Kero's Burglebub. And that's a cloud, and I think I found a conch over here, and... What is this place?
Elysia, kind of looking through and examining this as closely as you can. I mean, yeah, there's definitely some iconography of two very common D&D-time religions, those of the cloud and the conch. But beyond that kind of surface inspection, I mean, it's definitely also, everything is just a degree off. None of it's kind of like perfect.
How very strange.
It's a bit rough, but I can definitely see that.
Oh,
it helps
God.
if you squint just a dab.
I feel like Euchunkus' eyes are just following me.
Don't get too close or he might bite a finger.
Wait a minute, are they literally following me?
And Astraea, one other thing that you're noticing as you're looking through, you can see, like, around the area where they're shaking hands, Orwell, you notice this as well, there appears to be a big crease in this block, and then there's two kind of imprinted sections where it looks like handprints are kind of meant to go, and they are shaped kind of like, one of them appears to be more, one of them appears to be longer and kind of clawed, the other one more of like a webbed hand that looks like it's kind of intended to go there.
Okay, does anyone have a clawed hand?
Are the
Anyone
imprints
have a
on
webbed
the
hand?
same side as the statues, like the clawed one for the lizard?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna try to turn the statue so that its hand touches the print.
Let me rephrase, because they're not actually statues that are the couple. They are murals that are baked into the wall, and the handprints are also on the wall around like the area where their hands are kind of meeting in a handshake.
Okay, it's unfortunate then.
Zewxip, I hope this isn't offensive. But are you able to shape your hand into these shapes? I'm not particularly familiar with Floran physiology.
That isn't offensive at all. That's what I was... I believe I could do that. Are you willing to perhaps sever the tips of my fingers so I can regrow them perhaps a little longer?
If that's what it takes, certainly.
Yes, please, take a part of my hand and give me a moment to grow it.
Yes.
A little barbaric.
Well,
It's cultural, my dear.
in the name of, I don't know, science, magic, whatever. I'll chop off Zewxip's fingertips.
You cut off Zewxip's fingertips. Zewxip, is it painful? Are you like taking?
But it is necessary.
Oh no!
Touches the grass, faces the mower, only to come back another week.
Fortunately, I don't even have a dagger. I just
my
did
arm
this.
to give to poor little Tissix. But we do things in the name of friendship and love.
All I have is this small knife. This is gonna take a bit.
So over some excruciating moments, Zewxip, your fingers are removed, and then how long does it take to grow them back?
One moment. It says over the course of a long rest, you may choose to spend one hit die to regrow a missing limb or grow simple natural clothing. So if it's just sort of stimulating my fingertips, it might take a little bit of time.
I think a short rest.
Oh, okay. So yeah, like a short rest to grow my fingers out longer, so I kind of have a longer clawed hand. And if I need to fill it out too, I'll sort of like grow. It might look kind of swollen or diseased. I'll grow some berries and whatever to thicken up my spindly kind of root twig hands.
All right, yeah. So you step outside and begin kind of absorbing the sunlight, so that you're able to kind of kind of move your body into this direction, and you're focusing and trying the best that you can, and as you get through, I'm actually not going to make you roll for this. For one thing, you're finding the blue sunlight. It's definitely potent. You definitely feel like a lot of energy as you're now actively kind of like converting it and focusing on it. It's different and it takes a moment to get used to it. But yeah, it's definitely potent. And your hand grows out pretty quickly and thoroughly over the course of this next hour. And you've done the closest approximation you can with a non-clawed hand. You have kind of like appendages at the end of your finger, like kind of short vines that come out into points. They're not like actually functional as claws per se, but they definitely look and are shaped very much like the kind of handprint that you have.
Does this sun? So I've been able to use it to regrow, and for the photosynthesis ability for the Florans here. When you take a short rest in direct sunlight, you regain a number of hit points. So is my hit points back from having my hand?
I figured that'll be a net zero play there.
Okay, gotcha. That's I was hoping, but hey, if this is a blue sun, who knows what would happen?
No, that's that all kind of works out. And
does it affect the little growths like the berries and stuff to try and flesh out my hand?
The berries that seem to kind of be growing off of you, they're definitely like a slightly different tinge. What kind of berries are you making?
I don't know, like something kind of big and plump to fill out my hand to fit into the crevice there.
Like kind of like a big like blueberry you're going for?
You know what? Maybe something like strawberries, because they're kind of fingertip shaped. They can be kind of big and also give me some texture. Like so you feel like the little like the seeds and everything on the outside. So maybe I can try and pick stuff up better if I need to. So I kind of have strawberry flesh on my elongated hand.
Yeah, it's a little paler. It's not that like kind of beautiful red ripe strawberry that you want. They're a little. They almost don't look fully ripe, even though that that they're kind of as big as you can get them. They're more that almost whitish with a touch of red color. But yeah, they kind of function. The hand is moving. You feel comfortable with it, and yeah, they kind of go down to these points. Maybe the strawberries on your fingertips instead reach those kind of points for the lizard folk imprint that you're trying to mimic.
I wonder, do you think there's a yellow sun cult here since the sun's blue?
I mean, probably no. It could be a blue sun cult and they've succeeded.
I feel like the cult of the green sun would be way too strict about keeping the city not ruined.
Yeah.
I see the technology is affecting your voice, Elysia.
Yeah, you were botting out a little bit there, Lance.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm feeling some kind of weird effect. Let's get inside.
All right, yeah. So you move back inside, and there's ever that kind of like ever-present feeling that someone is watching you. And as you kind of go back in, you are you going to go over and kind of try the handprint?
Yes.
All right, you kind of stick your hand onto it, and you don't immediately feel anything. You put your hand on it. It's just kind of standing there for a moment, and you adjust your hand a little bit into the frame, and you feel it kind of like lock a little bit tighter, and then you begin to hear a sound from behind it. It kind of flashes a little bit, and you hear almost a pulsing, and then you hear, and your hand is kind of like, you see the platform on the wall, as it was kind of like, it seemed to be almost, you felt like some pricks as it was almost like scanning your hand in some way, and then the kind of the little imprint falls flush for a second, and kind of pushes your hand back and then re-indents to make the handprint again. It seems like you've been kind of denied by this thing. It requires perhaps a specific one. You're not entirely sure on the details of it. And as this happens, you hear kind of a voice behind you kind of call out, "It won't work."
What?
Who? Why? Who are you? Where are you?
Turning from behind you, you can see what appears to be a figure walking out of kind of a side corridor. You can hear the click of their kind of walking staff that they're using. It appears to be almost like a big long metal pipe that they're walking with as their feet are kind of moving along the stone floor of this space. And they're wearing kind of like a cloaked shawl, and you can see what looks like a snout, much like the lizard folk that you see in the picture there, kind of sticking out of it from behind the robe.
Why you say it won't work? Why? You chunkus?
It tests the hand of the individual. It's not the shape that matters. It has to be the hand of a king.
Are you a king?
No such thing.
And they kind of continue kind of stepping forward.
Well,
who are the
do you know where we can find a king?
What are you doing here?
We are
such nice clothing.
We're here to get that energy sword.
Impossible. You'd have to... Well, there'd have to be peace for you to get that energy source.
That's easy. We'll just bring some peace. Who do we need to make peace?
Our peoples have been at war for millennia now. It is said that long ago they were able to resolve their differences. There's some strange thing that they agreed on. The knowledge of this is lost to time.
Oh, it's that whale.
He looks up kind of confused.
What are you...
That image there, they agreed on a space whale.
Why do you say these things?
History books.
Well,
I'm a scholar, and they agreed on a space whale. And for some reason that, well, first I think they worked together or something, and then a space whale happened, and that brought them together.
Well, you speak with such confidence on things that you know nothing of.
Perhaps. I mean, there is a space whale in the mural.
And he kind of looks up at the cloud that's shaped. It's very vaguely like a whale, and he goes,
I suppose it could look like some type of whale, perhaps. Regardless, peace is impossible now.
What happened?
What happened? Memories of the incident have been far lost to time. All I know is that they are the enemy. They're relentless.
And he kind of
What
points
makes
up.
you say
and he
that?
and he kind of points up. And he kind of points up at the image of the on the Triton side.
What makes years and years of conflict? That's what makes me say that.
And he kind of like pulls back some of the robe, and you see like the side of his face is all like scarred and worn from battle.
I'm going to try something real quick. Is this a door? Do you know? Is that what this is? Some kind of lock mechanism?
The legends say it was the item within was placed there as a symbol of their peace long ago, and locked so that only the two of them together could retrieve it. The leader of them and our king.
Gosh, neither of them are here right now, though I feel like one of them is watching me. Alright, I'm gonna cast Knock.
Alright, you cast Knock on the door. It does not appear to have any effect.
Worth a shot.
It seems to be neither mundane nor magical. Some other third thing.
Science. It looks like we
Science
need to
is
find
mundane.
the leaders or their descendants at least. The door will only open for royalty after all.
It's unlikely that either leader has not noticed your presence since you entered this city. They have eyes everywhere.
Well, that's good. That'll make approaching them easier.
I know the location of our own king.
And he kind of describes to you, like, a point in the city, one particular building, one of the ones that you probably walked past it. It sounds familiar as you're describing it. One of the buildings that was kind of, like, knocked and, one of the buildings that was kind of, like, knocked and halved over. And apparently, they have their kind of head in the knocked over half that's kind of on the ground. And they've built something of a fortress in there, he describes to you.
If you wish to speak to my king, you may do so. But know that you may sacrifice your life. He is not a forgiving man.
Sounds about right. So, should we go talk to the Lizard King?
Of course.
Sounds like a plan.
Alright. In that case, you begin, you begin leaving and just kind of turning around, walking out.
Yep.
Sounds like it.
Fair enough. I would like all of you to just roll me a d20.
So regular D20?
Yep, just a flat d20. Just luck.
Oof.
Elysia. You guys begin walking out of this kind of town hall building down into the central square, and as you do so, Elysia, you kind of are walking along, and all of a sudden, underneath your feet, you step and you hear click. And then underneath you, there is a sudden explosion, as you realize kind of some of the streets around here are rigged in a very dangerous way. It's something of a battlefield. I need you to make me a dex save. You take half of that. You only take 3 points of fire damage. As this kind of mine underneath your feet, it's very much the same color. It's kind of this solid gray of the concrete, and with like the gray day and the blue sun, it all just seems to kind of like blend in together. And as it explodes up beneath you, the fire kind of lights up like a beacon. The fire is tinged with kind of greens, and as it does, it lets out kind of a huge sound as you move onto the street. And then, in the kind of pause, there's a moment of calm after this where everything's kind of silent. And then you begin to hear kind of like a lot of clattering and movement in some of the buildings around you. What do you all do?
Well, we've tripped a glyph of warding, so we should better run.
No, I'm gonna be careful, but we still have to speak to their leader.
Oh, I meant run to there.
That's a terrible idea. What if you trip all the mines?
Floran, behind you! You have good armor on, right?
Let me go first. I can spare the limbs.
No, I'm going first.
That's true. Alright, well.
And as you begin kind of moving, you can see a lot of, like I said, you were seeing a lot of movement. These shadows are kind of getting like closer and closer in the area, and for the first time you see one of the other kind of type of beings. You see kind of running towards you now, what appears to be a very similar looking creature to a Triton, but like I said, it's just a little bit sharper. The accents are just a little bit different. And as they're running at you, they seem to be running at you with a trident. And that top of the trident is kind of sparking with electricity as they're kind of sprinting at you out of one of the side kind of.
And Astraea, seeing this, is going to put out her hand and say, "Stop! Wait, the area has mines."
And as you're kind of watching them, you kind of see they're running along, and you see them take like a sudden kind of quick step to the side. That's not really intuitive, and you look around the feet. They like seem to be intentionally dodging them, like they know the placement of them. Still, kind of running at you very, very aggressively, and as they are kind of getting close to you, they look like they're like just about to. They look like they're like just about to reach you, and they're coming at you like really seriously with this kind of trident.
Yep.
All right. They're going to make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh my god, there goes the minefield.
18. I assume that's a success, right?
Yes.
All right, yeah. As you cast a grease out, you kind of throw it into the area, and as you do so, you can hear a whole bunch of, as it hits the ground, a whole bunch of ding, 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 as 3 mines in the area all kind of trigger. He kind of dodges the grease and stays on his footing. He slips for about a second, but he also is kind of covered with grease, and then 3 of these fire mines explode. And the grease just kind of lights, and this dude is incinerated almost instantly. And as that happens, you can see 2 more. You can see 2 more of these guys kind of running out from around the building, kind of shouting in a language that you don't understand. I'd like you guys to roll for initiative.
Oh dear, I didn't mean to bake him.
That was totally unnecessary.
Not intentional.
I mean, we're standing on a minefield. What did you expect would happen?
I didn't expect a little grease to set them all off.
Grease is flammable.
Yes, but it's not heavy.
Must be heavy enough. We
That-
need to be more careful.
All right, you guys are all free to act first. So first off, everyone but Astraea goes, and then Astraea goes. So Elysia, do you want to go first?
Oh crap!
3 11s. Oh no, all your allies and the enemies are both last.
Okay.
Two of these trident, spark trident wielding tritons are coming at you.
Okay. Monty! I'll get Monty out, and I will ready a firebolt to firebolt 1 if they get within not disadvantage range.
They are within it.
Oh no!
They kind of come out from around.
Case...
They came out from around a building, which was relatively close. The streets aren't super wide here.
I will give a little a shot and then run behind Astraea.
All right, 16 is absolutely going to hit one of these guys. Roll damage. Whoa!
And another one explodes.
Let me check to make sure, but yeah, another one explodes. You throw a fireball at them, and it kind of produces from your hand, and they look like just shocked and confused as they see you just conjuring magical fire. And as it hits them, they kind of lean back and are just incinerated. Only one of these creatures remains at the moment.
And Astraea is just gonna facepalm and go, guys, did you forget we need their king too?
That's going to bring us next initiative to Zewxip. What do you want to do?
I'm going to. There's one left that's running towards us.
Yep.
I'm going to use some intimidation and get this person to stand down. We don't want
I'm going to
trouble.
give you advantage because of what's happened to the first two.
Thank you. That's kind of what that actually influencing why I'm going with intimidation here. We don't wish to hurt you. And I can repeat this in Common, Sylvan, and Draconic. It's kind of a short message.
Okay.
And you're the most intimidating flower ever.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. And as you kind of flare out, the dragon-like, kind of like snapdragon-like tendrils kind of move upwards. You definitely look the light, and your kind of now kind of strange clawed hand. You look a lot more alien than you usually do. And this Triton just kind of like puts their hands up. And just kind of like stops and moves forward. They still have like the trident kind of in their hands, and they look ready to use it, but they just kind of stop their footing and put their trident up, like, you know, they're in state of surrender. Anything else on your turn?
Nope.
Orwell?
Drop the trident and preferably not onto a mine.
Yeah, all the mines in this area seem to have already gotten blown up, and this one just kind of drops the trident just as a reaction as soon as you say that.
And approach, so we can I don't know, discuss.
All right, Astraea.
Does it look like this alien Triton is understanding our speech?
Yeah, following the instructions pretty clearly and perfectly.
Alright, then she's going to say, we need your help. We need to speak to the leader of your people. And
we come in peace, take us to your leader.
yeah, pretty much.
All right. They begin to speak. I don't know if I can do that. I don't. You see, the thing is, and as they're saying that, it's going to move to their turn in initiative, and they're coming for you. And they say, "We thought you were them. We didn't mean to. Who are you? Who are the four of you? We got more inbound. You should get out of here."
Who is them?
And you almost immediately at the end of your turn see who them is, as out of a nearby window, you see. Let's make an attacker. Oh, terrible shot. You see just kind of a bolt of energy seem to fly past and strike into the ground, burning a little bit of a hole in the concrete of the street, as you hear kind of a war cry coming from one of the surrounding buildings. And you see now about 6 or 7 lizard folk, all kind of wielding these strange kind of like glowing javelins, jump out of like windows in one of the nearby buildings and are kind of like running up and going to after you guys and this Triton, seemingly. Additionally, you can see running around the corner what appear to be a pretty large group of these Tritons as well. And kind of at the back of each of these packs, you can see one of the Tritons, there's one of them that seems to be wearing like something akin to religious garb that is kind of standing at the back. They're wielding like a really big one of these tridents, and they have this long kind of flowing robe around them. And on the lizard folk side, kind of pulling out, you can see a lizard folk that's kind of like stepping out, and they have this kind of like big spiked looking shield that has like a glowing kind of like energy kind of shield around the outside of it, and on one of those plasma javelins as well that I described. And he kind of calls out, barking some orders in a language that none of you recognize at the lizard folk, who are now running up and swarming. You can see as they run up, like one of them, there's an explosion of another one of those flare mines as one of the lizard folk just kind of is incinerated almost instantly, and they just begin charging. It looks like there's a proper battle that's beginning to kind of brew out in the streets here between it, which you guys are right now directly in the middle of. You can also see that on either side, as he kind of like, as the Triton kind of is looking at you and seeing this stuff happening, he sees the energy bolt kind of drop down. He goes once more to like pick up his trident reactively, kind of grabs onto it, and just kind of yells, "That's our leader there!" And points over at the kind of robed Triton I described, and gets ready to engage. That brings us around to it's a lot of stuff that you guys are all taking at once, but battles happen fast. That brings us around to the top of the initiative. That is Elysia. What do you wish to do?
So it seems that they're about to do some manner of battle here. That's not... I'm gonna do the only thing I can really do at this point without being taken by surprise of people about to... I will shed off my mortal coil as I will activate my Radiant Soul, fly up, full angel mode, and just... Everyone! Stop fighting!
Alright, go ahead and make me a persuasion check.
Would I be able to use my action to enhance that?
Yeah, you guys are all in the same initiative, so you guys can let your actions flow in the order that you want them to.
I use prestidigitation
to basically do the help action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So go ahead and make a persuasion check with advantage.
Oh my god.
All right. Yeah, that is not going. That is not going to do anything. They are very focused, all of them. You can hear kind of like snarling and growling among them. Some angry burbles and glubs from the more fish-like individuals as they're ready to just go at each other's throats. That's actually Orwell and Elysia. Like I said, you guys are right in the middle of this as well, so you also might want to consider getting to safety, both of you.
I'll move.
Yeah, you're gonna step. Alright, roll me a d20 for luck.
Oh boy.
You're good. And Elysia, you're flying. So are you gonna just stay where you are, flying above the center of the battlefield? Or are you gonna move away a little bit?
I will scoot up a bit more, just to get out of any ambient effect.
Alright, in that case, Zewxip.
Astraea, do you trust me?
Sure. What do you have in mind?
I'm gonna give you. I don't know if a wink coming from me is probably a little disturbing. I'll just let you fill that in your own imagination here. War. I hate war. And I'm gonna cast Enlarge on myself, and so I'm gonna become Zewxip the Swoleberry here. And,
Swoleberry bush.
Yeah. Fighters, no, angry. And I'm going to reach over to Astraea. I'm going to pick her up and pretend to crush her, covering her in all these pop strawberries to look like kind of blood raining down. And I want to throw Astraea sort of behind the king in this apparent grisly attempt to intimidate them. But I would like to get Astraea in a more advantageous position to do something.
All right, because you're so huge, I will... yeah, I think this is pretty reasonable when you become massive. Go ahead and make me a... go ahead and make me just an athletics check. And I think you have advantage on this because you're enlarged, I believe is how it works.
Correct.
Lance needs help.
Oh no, we lost Lance again?
And I think once Astraea figures out what's going on, she's going to scream and, contort as he pretends to crush her.
Okay, as you kind of do this, you can see a lot of the, as the strawberry juice kind of drips down, there are a few cursory glances that look up towards it. There's a lot of focus in the area right now, as these forces seem pretty intent on their clash, but there's the few who do kind of, pay a lot of attention to that are definitely a bit sickened, as you toss Astraea behind the ranks. Which side were you going? Towards the lizard folk side or towards the Triton side?
I haven't decided, so I reckon I'll just roll a d20, and odds is Tritons.
Fair enough.
Even just
see where fate sends you. Tritons it is. So you get tossed over the ranks of them. You don't make it behind the leader, but you do make it behind the front lines. So you're now in between them and kind of their leader, and they're moving forward. As you kind of crash down, the Triton leader kind of looks down at you. What are you doing here? Actually, probably not what they say. I meant to say, who are you doing here? They more ask, they're just curious who you are. Because I assume, or are you faking dead when you get down Astraea? Because it's your turn. What do you do as you land?
No, I think as I land, I'm going to do the superhero pose.
Yeah, naturally.
Basically punching the ground.
Yep.
And I'm going to look up at him and say, call off your army.
Intimidation check, I think, is what you're going for, or persuasion?
Right now, she's being more persuasive, but you can decide if it looks more intimidating to him.
Yeah, I think with the blood and the big kind of throw, I think intimidation makes a lot of sense here.
Alrighty.
19, natural 20. So that's going to count as 2 successes instead of 1 success. And this person isn't immediately kind of it isn't immediately seem to be receptive to it. He doesn't take any immediate action as it passes on to. I assume that's all for your turn.
Yes.
Or do you want to move up close as well if you want, or just gonna stay where you are? Because right now you're maybe 15, 20 feet away.
Do I still have my war pick?
Yeah.
Okay, so it hasn't been changed.
Nope.
I'm just gonna pull it out and approach him, I guess.
All right. Yeah. So you kind of pull out your war pick and begin kind of stepping towards him, and he goes. As it passes to his turn now. Why would I listen to you? And he's kind of taking a few steps back. You see he's kind of putting his trident up aggressively, but he's not making an attack, and you've definitely taken the upper hand verbally in this situation. And yeah, he's not ready to just call off his army like that, but yeah, you're definitely rattling this guy almost instantly. Yeah, so you have 2 successes toward kind of convincing these guys to stop. You don't know how many you need to completely do that, but that is going to bring us next in initiative 2. Oh yeah, well that's the majority of the Tritons. So you see some of the Tritons, Orwell, 2 of the Tritons as they're kind of moving past, go over towards your area, and are going to make attacks against you. As you kind of have moved away, they see you just standing there. You're just in the kind of crossfire right now.
You wouldn't hit an old man.
They attack you. 5 and 9, I assume, both miss?
Correct. You would not hit an old man.
And then from the other side, as they're kind of clashing from the other side, because you guys are in opposite areas right now, you see 2 of the lizard folk are going to throw their kind of energy javelins at you, Elysia, up in the air.
Oh boy.
It's an 11 and a 7.
Oh my god, I actually
rolling
get hit.
Yeah, rolling light. And then 3 of them are going to use their javelins on you, Zewxip. It's a 12, a 14, and a 20.
The 20 hits, the others do not.
8 points of radiant damage. As they throw the javelin in your direction, you see they just kind of do the motion with their hand and the javelin stays, but then the energy beam kind of flies out of it towards you. It strikes and feels like an intense burn. It feels like if it was at a lighter dose, it would almost feel like, sun-like energy and could be good, but it's just way too much, and kind of a chunk of you gets burnt. And then the lizard folk kind of king at the back is kind of stepping forward, shouting out commands, but has moved forward into the fray, and they will be in range of you, Zewxip, on the next round. As we move to the top of the initiative, Elysia, Zewxip, Orwell.
Looking at all of them, you said there was some religious iconography.
There's like remnants of it on their clothes, but it's very kind of warped and distorted.
But is it reminiscent of the the lizard folk have like lightning bolts on their as their sort of shtick?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. I will send my owl up to Elysia and have it cast Dragon Breath on her. Bestowing upon you the ability to breathe lightning. And I say they might respond to that. And then I'm going to use prestidigitation to make the sounds of whales in the background.
Go ahead and make me just an Arcana check. Oh my god! As you make, even though it was a critical, this is still one success because the memory is so lost, has been lost to time. But for some reason, there's just, you see a moment in this battle as the dust is kind of like raging, and just the sorrowful wail, that there's just like a slight relaxation in the muscles of everyone in the battle, as they don't know why they're soothed. But they are. Nice turn. That is going to bring us now to Elysia, Zewxip. What do you guys want to do?
How many of the Triton lizard folk have fallen so far?
In the kind of battle against each other, you can see, like, at the moment, you see, well, the two Triton that were originally there, that you guys took out are on the ground, in the kind of melee between the two of them, because their forces are just clashing all over the place. You can see it looks like 4 or 5 have already taken lethal blows or are at least injured and out of the fight.
Okay. I'm gonna have to hold on to that pot shot then. I'm just gonna have good faith in Orwell and see if I can get some of his stuff. I will unleash sort of a roar scream as I lightning breath just kind of up and out in the sky.
Alright, you release just a torrent of lightning upwards. Go ahead and make me an intimidation check with advantage. Alright. Yeah, this one, last time the intimidation was sent more in the direction of the Tritons. This time, as you kind of angle it at the lizard folk, the lightning kind of crackles outwards, and you watch as, like, even one of the lizard folk, just kind of instantly, as they see the crackling lightning, kind of just goes into, like, a kneeling posture, kind of looking up, taking one knee and looking with reverence up at the huge kind of cloud of lightning, and all of the lizard folk, you just hear kind of, like, mutterings of awe from amongst them. Both sides seem to be losing quite a lot of will at this point. Anything else on your turn? You still have a bonus action.
I will just yell, "I said stop fighting!" And I think that's the only bonus action stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that's kind of like comes with the lightning breath as well. So yeah, as you kind of yell out, I said stop fighting, and they all kind of like go to take a knee. That's, in that case, going to bring us to Zewxip. What do you wish to do?
I will
There's a whole bunch
concentrate.
of lizard folk swarming you and stuff.
Oh, what was that? I'm sorry.
I was just saying, there's like a whole bunch of lizard folk swarming you and Orwell, and there's all kinds of stuff. What are you gonna do?
Okay, I'm gonna concentrate to keep myself enlarged.
Okay.
I will turn to the lizard folk, and I will roar loudly, and I will cast the gust cantrip. Like I'll extend my juicy hand, and I'll gust and kind of coat them in this, kind of quote unquote blood.
All right.
And the closest one, well, if one's within 30 feet of me, yes.
Yep.
Okay. then I'm gonna target a random one and cast Gut.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 right up next to you. So.
Okay, yeah. Then I'll try and blow one back as I roar and I'm stomping and just trying to be all intimidating.
Excellent. They're going to make a strength saving throw, so we'll see if we can... Yeah, alright, so one of these lizard folks, instantly, as you just kind of, like, wave your hand in their direction, splattering strawberry blood all about the space, they get kind of thrown backwards and fall on their back and kind of, like, slide a little bit along the ground, and the 2 who are next to you kind of look at this incredible show of force, combined with, like, the pleas from all of the various groups. It seems like the 2 that are attacking you are definitely, like, have lost their particular will, and the whole army is now getting really confused at these 4 terrifying strangers that are in their midst. Astraea?
Yeah, so... I guess the best way to put this is I'm writing an action so that if he doesn't on his turn stop his army, I'm gonna smack him with the war pick.
Okay, but what are you saying to them to, or are you just letting your thing from the last turn kind of hold, or are you gonna say something else to them? They're looking.
I guess I'll just repeat. Yeah, I guess I'll just repeat. Call off your army, and let's talk about this like reasonable.
Okay, go ahead and make me a persuasion check.
All right. Oop.
18. Nice rolls tonight, you guys. Jesus. All right, yeah, and he looks at you, and he sees the kind of destruction. You watch his eyes just move past you towards the battlefield, and seeing, like, the huge flower that's there, like, rampaging and tossing people with the wind. They see, like, the angel breathing lightning, and they kind of look again past, past all of that to the lizard folk king across the battlefield, seeming to stare at him, and just kind of yells out, "Gentlemen, lower your weapons! I said lower your weapons!" And you watch as the Triton kind of, what's going, and they all look around sort of confused, and slowly kind of put their weapons down to their sides, and in, like, the kind of awe and confusion of the lizard folk, you see a lot of the lizard folk now have kind of, like, taken their javelins, and they're not, like, striking any lethal blows, but they've also kind of, like, are pointing the javelins at the now kind of disarmed Tritons, as things reach now what appears to be just a flat kind of standoff. And there's just kind of abject silence after that kind of echoes out, save for the soothing whale calls that are kind of floating in the background. Yeah, and everyone's just standing there kind of intensely in silence. The lizard folk king kind of calls out from his side, "Remove your javelins. Hold back." And he just kind of calls out, "What's going on here?" addressing it to the group of you.
Astraea is gonna say, "Why are you fighting?"
They kind of
addressing it to both.
Both of them kind of respond in a similar way. Like the Triton King says, "We are not fighting. We are merely defending ourselves from these monsters." And the lizard folk kind of incants nearly the same thing at the same time.
Defending yourselves from what? What do you expect the other side to do? How can you both be defending yourselves?
And the lizard folk king kind of steps forward amongst his people, and kind of looks around, and he kind of points down at the ground, towards, like, the big pile, all of the mines that are kind of standing around there. He goes, "They set traps throughout the city. They push us out of our homes." And the Triton who kind of the Triton prelate who kind of steps forward with his kind of robes. They steal our goods and resources. They pushed us back to the far corners of the city. And they kind of are moving forward like angrily towards each other as they're arguing.
You know, frankly, you're being a bunch of twats.
And they both look at you, and you see both of them repeat in almost synchronicity. Twats?
Yes. If Uchonkas and Keros were here, well, Keros would be very disappointed, and Uchonkas would be less disappointed, but still disappointed. Because at least he had a reason to kill people. Thin, though it may be. And you two are just killing each other for no reason. They don't even know what you're fighting over.
And as you kind of make that statement, you don't even know what you're fighting over. Both of them just kind of look at each other for a while, and then they both kind of like slacken, and they both realize, yeah, they don't know what they're fighting over. And at the same time, you hear just the clattering of their weapons down to the ground. And there's just another kind of like long pause as everyone in confusion realizes that their centuries-old war has been for nothing. Folk just kind of looks at. Oh, sorry. They look at you and just go, "What do we do?"
You used to be friends and work together. We can show you the mural in the dome. Why don't you try that for a change?
And what does what were you about to say, Zewxip? Sorry, I cut you off there.
Well, if it's been longer than a minute, my enlarge is going to reduce back down to normal size.
Yep, you shift back there.
If you wish to do something that is beneficial, I'm still gonna put out a little presentation like huff and whatnot. Like I'm fatigued. This is taking a lot out of me. There's a lot of people who could use both of your all's help. Our ship has been stranded, and we need your help, both of yours help, to save many lives. Do something good. Help us. We didn't come here to fight. We came here to save ourselves and perhaps even you all.
What can we do?
I need your hands, though you don't have to detach them.
And they both look down, confused at their own hands, and then... Well, that is good. Okay. And they both put their hands out towards you. And then, like, a sudden realization kind of dawns on them what you must be referring to. And they both begin kind of walking inwards towards the mural. And a lot of the other kind of lizard folk in Triton begin to follow. As they step now into the space, the two of them each kind of takes their space respectively on either side that they are kind of assigned to on the mural, the lizard folk on the lizard folk, and the Triton on the Triton side. And both of them kind of reach out and put their hands into the two kind of slots on the mural. And as they do so, you can kind of hear that same and this time you hear kind of a hissing of release, and out of the kind of that big crack, the cube that this mural is kind of set upon begins to split and open up like a vault, and it spreads backwards, and you can see like the arcing electricity and kind of static that is coming from this kind of glowing golden orb in the center of it begin to move and spread around the room. It hits your own kind of forms, and kind of strikes, and you can feel it kind of like tingle the skin a little bit, makes the hair stand on end, but it doesn't actually seem to harm you in any way. And you hear kind of a voice in your kind of intercoms from Bartholomew. The energy readings just spiked a little bit. Did you locate the object?
Yes, we did.
Good. Get it, and then when you're ready, say the magic words, and I'll kind of pull you out of there.
I thought you didn't believe in magic. Aren't you a man of science?
A man of science, but magic words, well, that's a tradition.
I see.
And yeah, the orb is ready for the taking.
I will walk up and pick it up.
All right.
Before we go, Astraea's gonna look for the guy with the gnarly face in the crowd.
Yes. You kind of walk up. He's kind of like standing at the back, kind of looking over the scene, dumbfounded.
Nothing is impossible.
And he just kind of looks at you, this strange traveler from another world, with something of a look of awe upon his face. And Bartholomew kind of calls out, "Ready when you are."
All right, I look at the leaders. Now, be friends, and maybe Bill will come back and eat everything again. Beam me up, buddy.
And as you call out, beam me up, Barty, you watch as the lizard folk and Triton begin looking at each other, and now their hands kind of meet in an actual sort of handshake, and you can kind of hear some roaring cheers from the surrounding Triton and lizard folk. And then from up above, a sudden kind of brilliant light comes down, and once again you feel your bodies begin to dissipate and change in location as you are pulled from out of this planet back onto Bartholomew's ship. Congratulations, you have all been victorious in our first adventure of the evening.
Yay. We stopped a civil war.
And possibly brought about the eventual Bill death of the universe.
The Bill death is always inevitable, though.
Excellent work, team.
Yes,
That was well done.
Indeed, very nicely done. I assume that you would all die. Whenever we send people with your color shirt down there, they don't make it back.
Oh, so you did intend for us to die?
Yes, well, we have the sort of matter reimaginer over there. We can kind of put you back together, more or less the same. Well, nonetheless, you've all done extremely well. Here, take these.
Indeed.
200 Bartholomew credits each, a bonus for your very good work.
Are these convertible with Bartholomew bucks?
See, they are just Bartholomew bucks. They're just identical to the same currency that you always receive.
Interesting. Okay.
And you've all gained 1 point of experience. And congratulations on your success in the first adventure of the evening. And today the shop is actually closed for the day, as things are a little bit different today. Yes. So with that,
great work.
Yeah, we will be back very soon with Adventure 2, which I am extremely excited for.
Stay tuned.
See you soon, everyone.